Okay. Ignore my disheveled hair. I keep going and putting my helmet on, and I'm not fixing it properly before the recording. Plus, I gotta wash my shit anyway. Either way. Okay, it's back. It's back. There. Huh. I did. It's the big one, bro. Anyway, what's poppin', people? It's your boy Zero, aka Black Goku / Nazi Subaru, and today we're here with Arc 9, Chapter 26, Sword Demon versus Crimson Sakura. This shit was fucking hype in the last chapter reading. Oh my god, bro. I was crying. There, like, Wilhelm came in at the fucking end, was like, swoop, 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 swoop. So, look, y'all already know how this goes. If you guys enjoy these readings, leave a like, subscribe, share with your friends, let other people know who you think may be interested. Hey, there's this black guy who looks like an anime character, and he reads ReZero. Win-win. All right, so, y'all know how this goes. I'm bricked up. You're bricked up. Let's be bricked up together. As we watch, read, and consume ReZero. Well, we're just reading it. So, this chapter is, whew, gonna be hype. Now, let's scroll and, oh god, I'm so hyped. I'm so ready for this. Okay. An intense aura of swordsmanship hung over the chamber. Excuse me. I'm already burping. And it was no joke that goosebumps erupted all over her skin. Her mind had been trained to remain unshaken by most situations, but even when considering circumstances in which the unexpected and unforeseen might occur in rapid succession, a scenario such as this would be considered an anomaly, demanding to be deemed as an exception. Wilhelm Trius? Is it Trius? I think it's Trius. Trius. Oh, Wilhelm Trius, I believe. Rolling the name that had been given around within her mouth, Yae Tenzin quietly sharpened her vigilance. They had exchanged but a single clash, yet her opponent's opening move had been slamming her with a kick, forcing Yae to find herself at a disadvantage. Even if she leapt backwards to dampen the impact, the damage from that kick had left a heavy impression on Yae's slender frame. And look, Wilhelm don't give a fuck who you are, bro. Like, bro, we gotta talk about how goated Wilhelm is. It doesn't matter who he's fighting. Fucking the White Whale, Betelgeuse, Romani Conti, fucking his wife, like, bro, dude, bro has the hands, bro. I have not seen Wilhelm take an L, and I'm not saying I want to see him take an L. I'm just saying I haven't seen this man take an L. Like, especially in a 1v1. Wilhelm? No, not at all. Come on now. All right, where the fuck? Oh, I was like right here. My bad. She had not retreated. The force might have opened a shoe-sized hole in her stomach. Had she not retreated, the force may have... Oh, damn! A shoe-sized hole in her stomach? Damn! He had delivered a kick to a woman without restraint. As he himself had claimed, he could not be called a gentleman. Something about that, it was giving me Wilhelm vibes. I'm like, who else is nice with the sword, right? Well, there was a worthy title for this old swordsman, which had been readied by the nation for more than 40 years, namely, Sword Demon San himself, gracing us with his presence here. To think I would meet such a legend myself. I'm so moved. That episode in which you avenged your late wife, it must truly be an honor to the Kingdom Sword, huh? Oh, but if I'm not mistaken, I heard you had an unexpected reunion with your wife afterward. Surely the events in the Watergate City must have been terribly painful for you, no? I can only imagine your anguish. Boo-hoo. Whilst observing her opponent's every move, Yae dabbed her finger at the corner of her eye in a pantomime of tears. Beneath Yae's crimson gaze, the old... I want to see Yae die. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not saying that I hate her. I just don't like her. Like, and it's probably because she's on the enemy's team, but like, I mean, there's some villains that you can, you know, come to grow and fuck with, and like her personality is like, yeah. But whatever, I mean, like, I digress. Who knows? Beneath Ye's crimson gaze, the old swordsman, Wilhelm, stood dignified and unwavering. The two swords in his grip radiating, oh, he was dual wielding, that's right. Radiating a sharp aura as he met her stare. Within the calm light of those twin blue eyes, Ye understood that her attempts to unsettle her opponent by brazenly trampling upon his heart had proven to be fruitless. She had merely succeeded in playing the role of a villainess. The image I had from what I've heard of you led me to believe you were a more passionate person, but apparently that impression had been unreliable. Given that the source of this information had been none other than Heinkel. Oh, fair. If even details regarding his own biological father lacked credibility, then what exactly could she expect of him? Frankly, it would have been better to assign him to take care of the Felt rather than the dragon. And should Heinkel have allowed Felt to escape, then the pretext of eliminating her and cutting ties with Heinkel altogether would simultaneously hold ground. As for Ye's reasoning as to why she thought such things, aside from the old village chief, there shouldn't be many people who are able to notice my presence concealment. Felt-sama, might you have done something mischievous? The hell kind of accusation is that? You know full well I've not been able to even lift a finger, you bastard. Besides, talking to your sorry ass, I haven't done anything right now. That's taking up all my effort. With a hint of self-restraint in her voice, Belt spat thus as she retreated she's like loose now. Ooh. She retreated to a corner of the room, unless, when it came to feigning anger, she was not the type to be adept. If she truly possessed the refined acting skills to modulate even her vocal tremors, then such a masterful deception would truly be one worthy of awe. Therefore, Ye, giving a subtle tug on the steel thread around Felt's neck, just enough to make her aware of its presence. Please don't even think about running away, okay? I'd hate to make Felt-sama's adorable head bid a tearful farewell to her torso. That's another kick to your ass. That's another kick your ass is getting. And it's not for me to say, but what? I don't think you have the time to be looking away now, do you, you bastard? This shit's amazing. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What? Oh. Belt stuck out her tongue with a blunt bleh, and the act's lack of charm was itself cute, but Ye did not need a reminder, as she had never once let her guard down against Wilhelm. He remained rooted in his original position, unable to determine how to respond to Ye's unfamiliar steel thread technique. Such was only natural. Most shinobi techniques specialize in exploiting an opponent's openings. That was why, unlike the fighting techniques of warriors utilized in battle, techniques of the shinobi utilized for killing were called jutsu. Ye's steel thread technique was a prime example of that distinction. The more veteran the warrior, the more cautiously they would approach combat. Meanwhile, the true skill of the shinobi lay in setting trap upon trap, like the web of a spider, 10 layers and 20 until 4 moves. What was that? Suddenly, Ye furrowed her brow, unable to comprehend the words born from Wilhelm's lips. To Ye's query, Wilhelm offered no verbal reply, but there was a response. He narrowed his eyes narrowed slightly, and a piercing aura of swordsmanship was released, cleaving through Ye's entire body as an answer. The moment she sensed the incoming attack, Ye mobilized all 10 of her fingers without hesitation. But rather than attacking to subdue, she rained slaughter upon the sword demon with her steel threads. So long as Al's order did not kill do not kill was kept. Whoa. So long as Al's order to not kill was kept in the end, it would be fine. It would be preferable for her opponent to survive when the intention was to kill. But if an attack was unleashed without the expectation to kill, would it work on this adversary? Thus, from all directions, first subdiving into 16 and then further into 32, was launched an overwhelming assault of steel threads, each new strand finer than the last. In response, the twin blades in Wilhelm's grip flashed. The whirlwind raised by the swing of the twin swords quite literally swept aside the approaching murderous steel threads in range. The extreme speed of the sword's movements caused the collision between blade and thread to be heard in unison, generating sparks that gave Ye the illusion that her eyes were being seared. Though her initial strike had been neutralized by the overwhelming force of the sword, her steel thread technique remained uninterrupted. Slackening the steel threads emitted from her rings, she readied an assault of even further segmented threads. In that moment, the floor of the room was cleaved upwards before Ye's eyes. That which rose was a portion of the floor that had been slashed and stepped on. Damn it, English, hold on. Excuse me, chat, my bad. Hold on, chat, let me regroup. Okay. That which rose was a portion of the floor that had been slashed and stepped upon, lifting its face. The size of this floor rivaled that of a luxurious bed, blotting Wilhelm from Ye's sight. With a thud and a forceful step, the floor was kicked, launching it straight toward Ye. Within the confined space of the room, there were no gaps she could use to escape. Therefore, using her left hand, Ye adjusted the angles of the steel threads and manipulated to combat the incoming floor. However, rather than slicing it, she instead bound it, deflecting it with a bounce. The floor recoiled with the full momentum of the initial kick, returning along its trajectory with even greater speed and danger, barreling toward the sword demon with the aim to blast him away. But then, a sharp, piercing sound resonated, and Ye's eyes widened upon the sight of the floor being pinned midair. Yo, dude, Wilhelm is on a different level, bro. Wilhelm is on a different level, bro. Its momentum had accelerated, its force doubling in proportion to its weight. Yet, the sword demon's blade struck the rebellion of the floor, in the dead center of its mass, its tip aligned to the surface with surgical precision, voiding all of its power. It was truly a divine feat that transcended what mortal hands could accomplish. Ye, too, understood this, having spent a great deal of time being held as a child prodigy beyond the limits of ordinary humans. Even in his old age, the sword demon's swordsmanship was planted in the realm of the divine. 3 moves. Oh, yo, bro's about to pop off. Bro's about to pop off. Oh my god, okay. Within the vision of breathless, Ye, Wilhelm murmured. Oh, I think I get what he's doing. Wilhelm murmured so from beyond the floor, which was still suspended in midair. This motherfucker's just holding, he's aura farming, holding this. Bro, somebody gotta make a fucking, like a piece of that, art piece of that. Come on now. Hidden behind the floor, of modest width and ample weight, Wilhelm remained beyond Ye's sight. Yet, the true advantage of her steel threads lay in their capability to land strikes that would not otherwise land, in places she could not otherwise see. She made her threads snake around the floor, forcing the sword demon on the other side to move either to the left or right. Yet, no matter which side he chose, left or right, the threads would be awaiting him. Immediately afterwards, piercing through the suspended floor, the tip of his sword approached Ye's nose. Hey, yo! The timber of steel striking through resounded, and the sword launched at a velocity which rivaled even most even most tightly drawn bow. Damn. The sword that had been thrust into the floor to stop it was struck from behind, causing the floor to be penetrated by the sword. This far exceeded her expectations. Faced now with a projectile that defied all norms, Ye abandoned any attempt to entangle the sword within her threads, and instead slightly deflected it as she tilted her slender neck just enough to avoid a fatal strike. The tip of the blade passed right by her throat before it was lodged into the wall beside Ye with a thump. She had dodged it, and even in that fleeting moment, Ye never once averted her eyes from the sword demon. And so, in the same breath, oh my, yeah, I don't even want to look at it. And in the same breath, she recognized that she had made a tactical misstep. The sword had been buried deeply, sticking out just to the right of Ye's neck. Her only means of escape was to the left. Thereupon, using the floor as a springboard, the sword demon then kicked off the ceiling to accelerate, descending with the slashing strike. The blade executed a seamless monk's robe cut, aiming for Ye's very life as his blade carved deeply into her left shoulder. Bro, dude, come on, bro, dude. Dude, I hope they animate the fuck out of this fight. They have to. They have to. Vincent Chancer, please. 20 years from now, please. Still be working, please. Damn. Dude, this art goes great. Like, I know they have to like do it quick, like, you know, it's like a very brief looking mock. Dude. This shit goes crazy, bro. Wilhelm van Astrea, no, Wilhelm Trius, had been sojourning in the royal capital seeking a way to heal his master, Krush Karsten. In the midst of the battle against the witch cult that had unfolded throughout the Watergate city of Cristela, the Sin Archbishop of Lust had poured a wicked poison onto Krush, corroding her body and soul. Dude, she had continued to suffer through such accursed agony. I know, like, a lot of people have made this joke and made this reference. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it, like, a lot of people say that Krush is the Yamcha of ReZero, and that is absolutely not the fucking case. I know that she be, you know, getting hit with a lot of misfortune, but for all intents and purposes, she's still goated. She just keeps getting fucking off screen, but like on screen. We got Krush down. Priscilla's dead. Then there's just like Felt, Amelia, Anastasia. There's only 3 motherfuckers who are like actively like really contending. And that's what we gotta figure out like how to deal with this shit. And anyway, even the kingdom's greatest healer, the very one bearing the title Blue, Varys, Felix, had been facing the hardship of his inability to alleviate her suffering. Nor had any ray of hope emerged for some time. There had been no dramatic improvements in Krush's condition, only a means that opened up new possibilities. A path to the Pleiades watchtower had been paved. Tidings of such had arrived. Were they to borrow the power of the sage Shala, one of the 3 great heroes of the kingdom of Lagunica, rumored to be the omniscient and omnipotent, perhaps they might find a way to liberate Krush from the malevolent poison afflicting her. If it's to save Krush-sama, then don't we need to do whatever it takes, no matter what it might be? I feel like that's how Felix sounds. As desperation drove Felix to cling to that news, Wilhelm possessed no words to admonish him. Having been robbed of her memories at the hand of the witch cult a year prior, Krush had been left as a largely changed person. And it was Felix who had devotedly supported and assisted her. Felix himself must have experienced hellish agony and confusion as he attempted to rebuild his relationship with Krush from scratch. I can't even imagine how that would be for Subaru. Like, it's similar to him and Rem, but considering that Krush is a royal candidate, it's pretty impactful. Sorry about that. As desperation drove Felix to cling to that news. Oh wait, oh no, I already read that. Sorry, my bad. After nearly a year of suffering, a bond of mutual trust had finally been formed between the two of them. A bond different to how it was before, but still unshakable. In spite of the difference, it happened right around when that bond had been formed. That was when the Sin Archbishop of Lust, Capella Emerata Lagunica, utterly wrecked it. The following suffering that Krush went through was as had been described prior, but the pitifulness of Felix, I hate Ferris. I know that's how they pronounce it because they can't fucking say L's, but Felix, as he nestled to her side, was an exceedingly painful sight to behold. Was that racist? That wasn't racist. Anyway, that was why, when they heard that Subaru's group, sights set on the Pleiades watchtower, had succeeded in reaching it, a fire of hope was ignited within Wilhelm and the rest, more acutely than any of them had anticipated. Although it was disconcerting that Subaru's group had not relayed that information directly, there was no way to dig deeper into the movements of other camps. However, he had heard that a trial run was being conducted in order to ensure that visiting the tower could be done reliably. Unable to sit idly by any longer, Wilhelm and Felix made their way to the royal capital in order to ascertain the success or failure of that expedition, and, if so, request to join the next group bound for the tower. That's how fucking impactful Arc 6 was, dude. Arc 6 was that big of a fucking deal that the ramifications of that arc alone has completely changed the way that so many characters look at the world and navigate this shit now. No one's been able to reach the fucking Pleiades watchtower, not even Reinhardt, yet Subaru and the Amelia can't do it. This shit's peak, bro. It's peak. It's always been peak. It's always been peak. Man. Alright, let's see. Wait. However. Wait. Damn it, I keep, like, forgetting where I am. Then, in a room inside the royal mansion, reserved only for dignitaries to stay, there is a matter I wish to share with you, and something I would like to ask for your assistance with. And so the young man bearing the role of internal affairs minister within the Amelia camp delivered to Wilhelm a summation of the catastrophe poised to shake the kingdom's very foundations, along with the names of the two individuals who served as Wilhelm's reasons to take up the sword. Rah! Blasting off the ceiling, he delivered a devastating shoulder-to-hip arc to the red-haired... Wait. He delivered a devastating shoulder-to-hip arc to the red-haired girl, nay to the masterful shinobi. The impossibly fine thread-like weapons proved to be lethally versatile. He scattered their oncoming threat through erratic trajectories. Such was the result of seeking a swift and decisive end to the bout. For every second the conflict raged on would only multiply the chances of being caught off guard. With a single brutal motion, the blade bit into her left shoulder and carved diagonally across her torso, bisecting her very life with a monk's robe cut, or so it should have. I love reading this shit. Dude, I love reading ReZero, bro. I love reading ReZero, bro. In an instant, the girl's body sank into the floor as she gritted her teeth. No, she had not sunk. Shredded to smithereens by her threads, the floor itself had came apart. Then, the girl's body plunged into the basement ahead of Wilhelm, to which he gave pursuit. Promptly extending his arm out, he reached out to the sword that had immobilized the girl on the wall, or from the wall, securing his twin blades. Though he had failed to sever the girl's left shoulder, there was no mistaking that the wound was deep. Oh, so he did cut. He did cut her shit. Because he was about to slice her shit through, but he was like, she was like, threads! Ugh. What was truly formidable about shinobi was their vanishing act. The moment they would slip from sight, they would become 5 or even 10 times as troublesome than they would have been visible. All this to say, Girl Wilhelm, this is where I take you down! And without prior rehearsal, Wilhelm and the girl's voices had overlapped. As Wilhelm plunged into the gaping maw of darkness below, for but a moment he caught sight of glimmering filaments, reflected by the light shimmering through the darkness. Dude, this fight, they have to animate this fight frame by frame with all the shit that's been going on. They have to, bro. The pit leading underground bristled with murderous threads, spun like a spider's web. As she fell backwards towards the basement, Ye bound her left shoulder with the steel threads to stop the bleeding. She admitted that the blade had penetrated deep into her maidenly soft skin, yet the chastity of her life remained intact, so she refused to accept her loss, and at the same time marveled at the terrifying swordsmanship of the sword demon. The first move defended against Ye's steel thread. The second move kicked away the floor that he had cut up. The third move seized the floor she had sent flying back, and the fourth move slashed. Fuck. And the fourth move slashed at her with the sword that had pierced through it. Just as he had declared at the outset, she was about to be killed in 4 moves. All these pesky old men! This motherfucker Wilhelm does not miss, bro. He does not miss. He does not miss. And if he misses, it's because he chooses to, because he's about to not miss when he wants to actually hit you. The first elderly man that came into mind was the vicious old man, who had the worst possible personality and was the closest to Ye. Oh, Old Bart. Followed by the elderly giant who had tormented Al on the plains until he was on the verge of defeat. And finally, the sword demon, an elderly man who had reached the pinnacle of swordsmanship despite his age. All of these elderly men were people who did not know how to grow old peacefully. That's gonna be me, man. That's gonna be me, man. I want that fucking energy, bro. When I'm getting old, I want to be like those fucking 3 goats, bro. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say Old Bart's goated. Anyway. To begin with, it was the way of the world that one's life could be extinguished at any moment. Nevertheless, the fact that they were still alive at such an old age meant that they had survived natural selection. That's why old folks are so damn terrifying. Wait, who? If you think old folks are weak and fragile, then you'll end up dying before you even get old yourself. Well, I'm kinda an exception to the exception, since I'm such a long-lived shinobi after all. Oh, okay, that's Old Bart. Okay. Yeah, that did kind of sound like him. Her cheeks twitched as she was reminded of the loud laughter of the village chief, who had lived and survived a particularly harsh life. The ultimate technique of a shinobi was to steal their opponent's attention, cloud their mind, immobilize them, and take their life. Ye was an excellent student in the art of clouding the mind, but she knew that she was no match for the village chief's years of experience. Ye believed that she was probably not that twisted, nor did she anticipate living long enough to become so. In fact, Al nearly killed her once before. She had no expectation that her good fortune would continue. After all, the whims of a kind monster were nothing more than a miracle. Wilhelm chased after Ye as she fell, pulled the sword from the wall, and dropped down onto the hole as well. As the sword demon moved with confidence that appeared to be born from actual combat experience against shinobi, presumably shinobi, deployed by the Valakian Empire in the past, she had unending resentment towards her shinobi predecessors who had failed to kill Wilhelm then. She's like, man, this motherfucker has fought us before. Y'all were feeding him. Pseudo midway point. If you guys are enjoying this so far, leave a like, subscribe, comment. Share it with your boys. Share it with your homies that fucks with the ReZero. And I'm just gonna continue. Wilhelm chased after Ye as she fell. Wait, hold it. Wait. I keep freaking. That's what I keep saying, bro. Ye took in a single breath and exhaled. With that, a switch flipped inside her with a click, and her field of vision expanded, allowing her to see as clearly in the darkness of the basement as if she were standing in the brightness of daylight. This was the result of training to become accustomed to the darkness of night, a type of physical manipulation that altered her blood flow around the eyeballs to adjust vision. Man, bitch got the fucking shotting gun? Bitch was like, it's dark. Boom, like, what the hell? As the white figure of the sword demon emerged within her now gray field of vision, Ye spread her arms wide, as if finally bringing him into her own realm of expertise. This is where I take you down! They both uttered in— wait, what the fuck? They just said that. They both uttered the same words in unison, but there was neither a smile nor a feeling of surprise on either side. They resolved to kill each other. Since mental attacks were deemed futile, wait, huh? Oh, okay, I thought I was just rereading a part. I was like, wait a minute. They abandoned all techniques designed to disrupt the mind and focused solely on reaching the opponent's life with sincere determination. This was the location Ye had prepared for that purpose, the Crimson Sakura's killing field. Hey yo, we about to get my boy Wilhelm ore farming as he fucking dismantles this bitch. The underground passageway in the Burial Mansion was not something Priscilla had built when she had renovated the mansion, but rather a remnant left behind by the legacy of the original owner, Leap Burial. Priscilla's late husband was said to have been plagued with pathological distrust and paranoia, and had made preparations for any eventuality. Not as much as a lot of other characters that we know. Not only in the mansion he built in the royal capital, but also in his other residences and hideouts within his own domain. This road that led to the basement was also one of those preparations. It had been originally intended as a secret escape route, but Ye had destroyed it beforehand because it could have been used as an entry point for enemies, leaving only the deep hole that continued underground. Ye had never met Lee, and felt nothing but disgust and contempt for him for forcibly marrying such a young and beautiful wife like Priscilla, and then trying to use her as a puppet to control the country's government. However, she sympathized with Leap's attitude of wanting to be prepared for any potential disaster, and was grateful to take advantage of the opportunity he had inadvertently given to her. A gallows for slaughter, where she could string up her steel threads and only Ye could move around as she pleased. She had infiltrated the royal capital in order to, if such a time were to come, assist Al. She had kept Felt, brought along so that she would be under surveillance, in a room so that it would serve as purpose in such an emergency. That was why. From here on out, no more holding back. Having said that, Ye bent her knees in order to smoothly slip off her shoes, extended her toes wrapped in black stockings, spread the toes of both feet and shot steel threads from rings befitting to each of them. Wilhelm's about to fucking cook. Literally, without mercy, without restraint, skillfully manipulating all 20 digits of her hands and feet, Ye Tenzin's masterful killing technique rampaged in the darkness. Both sides sought a swift victory. As she fell, Ye hooked her knee around one of the threads she had spun, stopping the momentum of her descent and reversing her direction. Utilizing the technique of this thread within the large, well-like cylindrical pit, she sprung up and began her attack. With the agility of an acrobat, Ye danced like petals twirling in the wind. Ye's graceful dance was accompanied by silver threads that lured those entranced by their beauty to their deaths, and around her, the blood of those whom she had danced upon blossoms like flowers, hence the name Crimson Sakura. These were beautiful yet cruel red cherry blossoms that bloomed in all her glory by feasting upon the blood flowing from those fallen corpses. The ferocity that earned itself its nickname was wielded without mercy, and Wilhelm's entire body, left to freefall, was torn apart. The ferocity that earned itself its nickname was wielded without mercy, and Wilhelm's entire body, left to freefall, was torn apart. His well-tailored clothes torn open, his flesh and blood scattered into the air. As she fell, Ye's hair was blown back by the wind created by his twin swords, and she was astonished by the intensity of the sword demon's gaze. Unlike her steel threads, the swords could only reach as far as the arm wielding it. Therefore, on the gallows she had set up, Wilhelm had no choice but to focus on defense. Naturally, with Wilhelm plunged by gravity and thus restricted, Ye, who could move freely in the darkness with the help of her threads, would never approach him. Maintaining a safe middle distance where his sword could not reach no matter what, she unilaterally continued her attacks with her steel threads. Before the dance was finished, before the sword demon reached the ground and regained his freedom, Ye calmly raised her arms, blood spurting forth. Ye's slender legs smoothly traced the wall in midair. Blood splurted forth. Ye's slender body twisted and contorted to its limit. Blood sprouted forth. As Ye's dance approached completion, the sword demon was stained with his own blood, unable to completely defend against the relentless barrage of steel threads. The sharp steel threads carved wounds into his legs, torso, shoulders, neck, cheek, and forehead, and the sword demon was lured towards death as he bled. However, what unpleasant eyes! His eyes, filled with a terrifyingly serene aura of swordsmanship, did not dull his will to fight one bit. In addition to the steel threads wielded by both Ye's hands and feet, there were also threads she had already spread throughout the basement. It went without saying, but if one were to inadvertently touch a taut string with their arm or leg while being preoccupied with Ye's actions, that limb would be lost. And if one's neck or torso were to come into contact with it, one would simply lose their life. For Wilhelm, this deep pit was now like the jaws of a witch beast he had jumped into without thinking, his flesh being torn by its teeth, its tongue lapping up the blood, and finally dropping into its stomach to dissolve its life. Yet, his eyes were not those of one who pointlessly resisted in despair. But there's not much you can do, is there? Even without that look in his eyes, Ye did not underestimate the sword demon enough to believe this was the end. She had long since dismissed Heinkel's assessment of Wilhelm as unreliable. and evaluated him based on what she had seen with her own eyes amidst the struggle for life and death. Therefore, the sword demon fell helplessly. She was prepared for 2 attacks. One was for him to kick off the wall of the pit and deliver the sword strike equivalent to one that had knocked Ye underground. The other was for him to throw his sword at Ye's pivotal points, just as he had done above ground. Whichever the 2 options was chosen, the decision had to be made in the blink of an eye. Immediately after, her extended black-clad feet drew a circle and inflicted 3 wounds to Wilhelm's cheek, and swung his dual sword straight down and repelled the steel threads. The sword demon's strong legs moved back rhythmically, and she planted those shoes against the wall. With the sword demon's knees slightly bent, he gathered enough strength in his knees to launch himself through the air, and at the last moment, he swung his arms and launched his 2 swords surging towards Ye's life. I like how I like how Tape, not they, I like how Tape says, when he's going for an attack for someone that's supposed to end them, he's like, it's towards this person's life. Not like, oh, he shot him, oh, he died. It was like the bullet edged closer to Ye's life or something like, dude, I love the wording. 2 silver streaks flashed through the air, but Ye dodged them with a series of dance-like movements. Using the stretched threads as a foothold, she performed a somersault, the blade just barely passing between her thighs and the curve of her back, and emerged unscathed. Then, she struck the sword demon, who flew after his blades with the steel threads attached to her feet. With both of his swords gone and no way to defend himself against the steel threads, Wilhelm twisted his body and shielded his head, escaping the web of threads with minimal damage. However, Ye was already out of the way, and the unarmed sword demon could not reach her as she rebounded from the threads and escaped. With that, both threads that she had been wary of were successfully averted, but it was still too early to bereft of a sigh of relief. Wilhelm had kicked the wall, missing Ye, and landed on the opposite side of the cylindrical pit. There, the twin swords he had thrown earlier were stuck in the wall, and Wilhelm grabbed them and kicked the wall again. Wilhelm pursued Ye, who had escaped diagonally upwards, and took a path upward with the speed of a bullet. He leapt forward, kicked off the opposite wall, and flew toward the other wall, repeating this over and over. He quickly caught up with Ye, who was rising upward in a dance-like motion. Yeah, no, they're gonna have to animate this like low-key exactly as it is. Like, it's too specific to be like, all right, we're gonna reanimate it this way. They're gonna be, dude, no. You've gotta be kidding me. Ye's throat trembled in shock as Wilhelm pursued her with all his might. He kicked the wall and ascended using the 3-step jump. That was not surprising. Ye could do the same. What was unexpected was that Wilhelm was repeating this in a place where Ye's hands had stretched out countless of her steel threads. Naturally, if he flew without taking the time to check his surroundings carefully, there was a risk that he would hit a thread and be torn to pieces. However, Wilhelm was not afraid. Why? Because when he had fallen through the space once before, he had noticed there were where the threads were, and he jumped up so as not to hit them. That was his terrifying way of fighting. Posed in both an exceptionally keen sense of combat and powers of observation. Why am I fucking stuttering, slurring? It has nothing to do with alcohol, guys. Just saying. It's like the constant like yapping. It's need some water. Okay. Where am I? as well as the unwavering determination to risk his life based on what he saw with his own eyes. As the sword demon fluttered and dived boldly into the storm of silver threads, Ye had no choice but to reach for her trump card. Yeah! Building momentum with her threads, Ye sprung high up, and reversing her stance, she extended all her arms and legs, and let loose a steel thread from all 20 digits, entwine them with the threads she had previously placed, and drew in all 4 limbs. Ye's masterful steel thread technique utilized entwining threads in the surrounding objects, and was even capable of binding over 100 ruffians at once in the forest combat. Taking that into account, Ye exerted all of her strength to the point that it felt like all of the muscles and bones within her body would be torn asunder, and simultaneously pulled all the steel threads tight. That instant, with the cylindrical pit that led underground, the torn steel threads ran amok. With a mechanism similar to that of cutting a sausage with a string, Ye utilized the tensile strength of the strained steel wires being torn to completely and utterly ravaged in space. Wait. Ye utilized the tensile strength of the strained steel wires being torn to completely and utterly ravage the space. Okay. A threat-rendering onslaught of trajectory and magnitude that not even Ye herself could read. Furthermore, thereupon, a capable maid always A capable maid always goes the extra mile. Witnessing the space below her being crushed by the innumerable thread attack, Ye brought the rings on both her hands to her mouth, kissing them. Immediately after, tongues of flames licked down, and threads extending from the rings. And after a beat, the internal flames exploded. Oh. Sorry, chap. In addition to the berserking threads, a scorching hellfire that burned all to naught, playing 2 of her trump cards, Ye's merciless shinobi techniques engulfed the sword demon in a crimson radiance, scorching him to a crisp. As expected. Unable to uphold the policy of not killing anybody, Ye found the result of this combat rather vexing. But it was something she had thought the moment it began. This was not an opponent who could be defeated without going for the kill, only by fighting with the intent to kill. Would one have a choice between survival or demise? That was the sort of opponent this man was. For that reason, let's keep this a secret from Heinkel-sama. That would be fine. He too had better know that I am coming. He too had better know I'm coming. Hey, yo! In that instant, the sword demon bust through the explosive inferno, the glint of his blade slashing through English. Fuck. The glint of his blade slashing through to caress Ye midair. Torso scathed by the flash of the honed sword, Ye spurred blood to helix in a manner different to her usual dance as she revolved in the air. Having been unable to disperse the might of the blow, as her eyes widened, she groaned in confusion regarding what had just occurred. To which had occurred was clear. The enemy had survived both the tempest of threads and the bro, dude. Wilhelm is fucking him, bro. He aura farmed when he said that. He was like, oh, I gotta keep this from Heinkel-sama or whatever. He was like, yeah, better not know that I'm coming. Burst through the flame. Yeah, oh no, that shit's hype. Dude, fucking clap it up for my boy, bro. For my boy Wilhelm. Nah, my fucking boy is him. Bro literally said, yeah, let that motherfucker think that I'm still coming. Oh my god, bro. Dude, this shit's fucking hype. This shit's hype. Fuck. Man. Oh, where am I, dude? Huh. That which had occurred was clear. The enemy had survived both the tempest of steel threads and the explosive flames that had followed. The question was, how in the world had he done it? Wilhelm's final leap had been straight upwards, much unlike the trajectory of his previous leaps, where he kicked off the walls and flew diagonally. Thus, in order to achieve such a leap within the pit, he would have had no choice but to use the same method as Ye, using the steel threads as a foothold and jumping. How did you... my threads? You demonstrated it many times. Your threads are terrifyingly sharp weapons, but with a specific angle and application of force, they can be used to bind without cutting. Wilhelm's answer was accurate. Having finally seen through the properties of Ye's steel threads, what was strange was that he had seen through it in such a short time whilst amidst the heat of battle. Wilhelm is him! I'm sorry. He's him! Bro, nah, I'm sorry. I gotta glaze my boy Wilhelm, dude. Wilhelm is fucking him, bro. Oh my goodness. And that he had not hesitated in his decision to risk his life on something for which he possessed no definite evidence. Another baffling matter was, then the fire? I cut it. Oh shit. Bro was like, she was like, the fire? He's like, my blade. Like, bro, dude, nah, bro. Hey, yo, dude. I want to draw this shit my fucking self. Fuck that noise. I want to draw this myself. Receiving a terribly blunt answer to which nothing could be argued, Ye breathed an exasperated sigh. In all likelihood, he was telling no fib. The response had simply been that bold. While accepting that, Ye simultaneously suddenly recalled some words from a corner of her mind. Words that Ye had once dismissed as useless and thrown away. My father is strong to an My father is strong to an absurd degree. You and that Aldebaran guy might be pretty capable yourselves, but still, it's my father who scares me more. That's what's known as the sword demon. Bro, the glaze from his son, bro. Dude, nah, this shit, hey, yo, no, I gotta get the thumbnail. Hey, yo, this shit's fucking peak. Hey, yo, dude. No fucking shot. No shot. It aggravated her. Oh, don't let this art be crazy. It aggravated her to full throttle, but Heinkel's assessment was accurate. Ye could not recognize him as being stronger or scarier than Al, but he was at least more terrifying than she was. At this moment, Ye Tinson made a miscalculation in her assessment. That was the fact that she had estimated the credibility of the information to be around half accurate based on Heinkel's opinion. And above all, the fact that since the battle against the White Whale, the subjugation of Sloth, and the siege of the Watergate City, all of which Ye had investigated, Wilhelm's skill had only continued to be honed. That's what I was saying earlier, dude. This motherfucker fought against Sloth. At least the fingers. Fucking boxed it. The White Whale. Killed it. Delivered the final blow. Was fighting his wife in the Watergate City of Priscilla, which was the previous fucking source. Bro, you think you're about to wash someone who can do that? Bro, no! Are you dumb? Are you dumb or are you fucking stupid? Are you dumb or are you stupid? Bro. Oh, I got that bitch. Hey, bro got clapped. He was like, Anyway, nope. Shit. This was something Ye had no means of knowing, but he was once again reaching the levels he had achieved during the prime of his active duty, the age in which he had defeated the Sword Sing. Ergo, the battle that had commenced at Burial Villa between the Crimson Sakura and the Sword Demon. Wait, that might have peaked. Anyway, I know my shit cuts out sometimes. I gotta raise like the peak a little bit. Thwarting the completion of her dance with a flash of his blade, the Sword Demon, having stained the Sakura of crimson with blood, was thus declared the victor. Nah, bro. Nah, bro. Nah, bro. Nah. No, bro. Shout out to Magzen Zoc Style K. Zoc Styles. Shout out to MAGZAN ZUKSYLYK. Nah, bro knew the fucking mission. Nah, bro, please, like how much more? That, bro. Hey, yo, round of applause. Nah, dude. Nah, bro. You got me clapping at the end of some ReZero chapters and not crying? Hey, yo, that fight went fucking stupid. Fuck this bitch. Fuck her bitch ass. I fucking hate that bitch. Fuck that bitch, dude. Fuck yay, bro. Hey, yo, dude. Look at him. Hey, yo, bro. Farm like a motherfucker. Hey, yo. Hey, yo. Nah, bro. Nah, that shit goes hard, dude. That shit goes hard. I'm hard. I'm fucking bricked up right now. I'm bricked. That's why I had to sit down so y'all can't see it. Like, I need, like, I'm holding it under the desk right now. I'm having the desk provide me a little bit of coverage so that bitch doesn't fucking fling my entire setup up. Dude, nah, dude. I knew it was gonna be nasty. I knew he was, dude. I knew he was gonna do her shit fucking dirty when he killed her bitch ass. Fuck that bitch. Damn. Woo, she better not be alive. She's alive. I'm gonna be a little bit. Nah, bro. Nah, he dispatched this bitch. Look, this has been your boy Zero, aka Black Goku / Natsuki Subaru. If you guys enjoyed this reading of ReZero Arc 9 Chapter 25, Sword Demon vs Crimson Sakura, leave a motherfucking like, subscribe, hit the notification bell as well so you can stay updated on when I make videos, content, go live, and all that good crazy shit, because ReZero has been going crazy. This shit's been going crazy. Wait, oh no, this shit Chapter 26. Wait, yeah, I think I said that. Bro, come on. Nah, dude. Nah, bro. This shit's it's fucking peak. I'm not gonna hold y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. I'm hyped. Until next time, peace.